No, hey, thanks for coming. Thank you for, I thought it was really cool just going to media days that, the University of Nebraska is the most represented team there from its media corps. So thank you guys who came, or if you weren't able to come, thank you for everything you do for us the entire year. Obviously excited to get started. A couple updates. Obviously it's a 120-man roster for camp. As people get hurt, you still have the ability to rotate people in. So that's not a 120-man roster limit. We still have the whole team, but 120-man roster to start camp. Injuries to start camp, okay? Tristan Alvano is limited, so he'll be out at the start of camp. Bly Hill, Barrett Liebentritt, Maurice Mazuka, Brody Tagaloa, and Michael Booker. So those guys will not be in that 120, and they will wait till they're healthy, and then if someone else gets hurt, they'll then replace that, as well as some of the other guys we've had on our team who've worked their tails off. Just, we have to do a lot of things by number, so a lot of deserving guys aren't able to be in the 120, but they will be, and they'll all be there for the start of when school starts. We're moving in the dorms today, so I'm very fired up to be with these guys as we start this training camp. What I will say is just I hope that people have the opportunity to come on Saturday night and come to practice. I certainly understand that being charged to come to a practice, spending $25 is different, and it's new. I think the one thing we've tried to do is not charge for anything that used to be free, right? We're not charging for fan days. We're not doing that. And I think if you look at our track record between camps and clinics and all these things, we've tried to be as available, and we'll continue to do that. But moving forward in this new model, we have to find ways, to raise revenue and to support 1890. They've gone above and beyond, and this is a great way to do that and support our roster, support our student athletes. And just so everybody knows, every player's parent, Julie is planning on coming. My wife Julie's coming Saturday night. She's paying $25. It's a fundraiser. And so if you can't come, we certainly understand. It will be a good practice. I want people to see the way that we practice, and at the end we'll have some fun. We'll make it a fun, interactive, well, maybe not interactive, but a fun deal. So with that, I'll answer your guys' questions.
Albano, what is
Yeah, he had a groin that's just been, it's just trending to be in a good way, but a groin that's been bothering him, and had a quick surgery, sort of a 2-week recovery time, and so he's recovered, but he's just not full go. So he'll be working with the training staff and Drew Hamblin and Chris Peduzzi, and shouldn't be too long.
You guys brought in the Iowa Western guy. Will he kind of have an opportunity now in camp or at the kicker position? Who will be your kicker, I guess? Who put him out?
You're talking about Hull. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Between Hull, we have Otto Manelli in camp, so we have Nico in camp. We have Hull in camp. Alvano, once he's healthy, he'll battle for that job. So I think the thing that we realized, or Ed did a great job of, is the way the season's going to go. A lot of games are going to come down to the kicking game, right? So with Tristan, we know what we have in Tristan. So better not to rush it. Get him healthy. Don't push it. Nico was a high priority player for us in the recruiting process. And then Holes, obviously, we had a chance to coach his older brother, Jacob, who's a fantastic young man, and John has a ton of talent, big leg. Again, taking care of the summer camp opportunities. We were able to have him come in. So he was a scholarship player at another place, and we got him. So they'll all compete for it, and we'll see what happens.
Is Brody related to last year?
He's sort of released. He's actually meeting, I think he met yesterday or today with the doctor to see if he's fully released, but there's still some strength inadequacies. So again, we're just kind of banking on the long run. The great thing about the rule, the way it works is if you are injured, you can still be here. You can still get treatment, rehab meals, all those things. So I wouldn't suspect that Brody would be too long.
Now, what are the emotions for you and your entire team as you guys get ready to embark on this 4.5-week grind?
Yeah, I think probably for the guys it's a sense of relief. I think they've been highly anticipating it. I think this was a really, really hard summer. I asked Corey, I said, I don't care, just give me a tough team. That's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. And to the point that, when I'm in the office and they're working out, I went out one time. I wanted, I never went out to watch them. I wanted them to have this time with themselves. So I think probably getting to football, getting out of boot camp and getting to football is probably exciting for them, but also relief because I know a lot of these guys, the guys that came back, they came back because they want to get to the season. Now, what we have to do now is not start looking ahead to the games. We've got to just dominate every single day. And this is one of my favorite times of the year. My favorite time of the year is probably like Matt Rhule season, and I love this time of year. Obviously I love the games, don't get me wrong, but I just, watching these guys grow, develop, overcome adversity, it's fun.
The Elite List series that you put out this summer every week, what's been the standard for making that? Maybe what have you seen from some guys individually or trends?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with me. We started that way back at Temple. That's all based upon the performance staff. But they do factor in, behavior. They do factor in academics. They factor all those things into the process. Only thing I ever do with Corey is I'm always pushing it to be less and less and less. To me, everyone on our team's working hard. Everyone on our team, if they did this summer, they are elite. So what you're talking about is the top 10% of the top 10%. It's not a participation trophy. And there's some guys. There's some guys, walk-on guys. Like I was a walk-on, so I feel very comfortable saying walk-on guys like Noah Bustard and Grant Buda, who propelled themselves into camp by making the elite list multiple times. So you'll see scholarship players that aren't in camp, non-injury related. You'll see walk-ons that are in camp. This is a new day and age in football. We've always done it this way. You get what you deserve. And that doesn't mean that guys don't deserve. It's just other guys outperform them maybe. So it could be your body weight. It can be your hydration every day. I mean, they take all this into account. Corey and the rest of the performance staff meet. They put the list out. I see it when it goes on Twitter. I literally won't even – they used to send it to me. I don't even want to look at it because I don't want to affect it. I want them to make the decision based upon what they see. And the great thing is when you see guys that maybe weren't elite in the winter becoming more elite, it's pretty cool.
I think Harburg is a guy who's been on that list. What have you seen from him just as a guy who's put his head down and gone to work with there's fanfare about other people, but he just handles it?
Yeah, Heinrich's, we have our black jerseys in the offseason. He's black jersey every single day. He's, first of all, he's a Madden build-a-player. I guess they have college football build-a-player. Like, he's 6'4", 225 pounds, one of the fastest guys on the team, most explosive, loves to work out. My challenge to Heinrich has been the elite list is based upon everything performance-related. For you, it's about learning the offense at not at like a level 2 mastery, not even at level 3. Level 4 where you're unconsciously able to perform without having to think. And, your mechanics, your accuracy. And so I'm anxious to see Heinrich these next weeks, For me, and I said it at Media Day a couple times, I don't know if people get it, like they've worked so hard, and greatness usually happens outside of the time they're with us. With Corey and them, but not with us. I'm anxious to see what the growth that Heinrich's made because I'm sure he's made a ton of it. He's a huge part of this team, and he's going to have great days ahead. So, look forward to seeing him.
Tony White had an incredible first year as a coordinator, right? The defense got a lot better. How do you challenge him in year 2 to get better as a coordinator and that defense to improve on really good numbers from last year?
Well, that's a great question. I think the thing for me is looking at the things that maybe we didn't do well. I think as the way you change something is you look at what you don't do well, not what you do well. Now, when I come into things like this, I might talk more about what we do well. But with the team, I'm always talking about, hey, we have to eliminate these things. And for me, the defense, we have to take the ball away 20 times this year. We have to take the ball away 20. And I'm not talking about like 5 in one game that against an inferior opponent maybe. I'm saying you got to take the ball away. We only won the turnover battle twice last year, and we throw that all on the offense. But we took the ball away 14 times, and I think 1 or 2 of those were on special teams. So I want to see us take the ball away on defense, and I want to see us eliminate the big plays. And you have to understand that, hey, when you're an attacking man-to-man style defense, people are going to do different things to you. So sometimes, like, if you have a defensive staff that's arrogant, they'll say, like, well, they just double moved us. They always have to double move us. Well, you know what? That double pass Michigan State threw that, cost us the game. So eliminating the big plays, but most importantly, taking the ball away. And again, you recreate yourself every year. No statistics from last year carry over to this year. Like I think everyone's kind of assuming, like, well, they were a top 15 defense. They'll be a top 15 defense. You buy the magazines, they say that. first of all, we should be chasing number one. We want to be the number one defense. And, but, Tony, to his credit, what people, I don't know if they know about Tony, is he has such humble confidence. Like, he's got an edge to him and a swagger to him, yet he's very humble. And I thought Tony did an amazing job, when Coop resigned in that interim, stand kind of through the interview process, through hiring John, and then the work he's had to do. I mean, he had to, he's on vacation, he has to leave his family, fly back on his own dime, hey, get John set up, start working. He's done a great job with that, and that'll be a challenge, but it'll be a good challenge because of all the things that John brings.
Any more, I guess I'm asking to expand on some of what you just said. Is there anything about the makeup of that defense that would lead you to believe that they won't rest on their laurels? And I guess I'm talking more about the players.
No, none. I think if anything, from everything that I've heard and kind of felt and seen, I think they're ready to take a step. See, great defense comes from, because you want to play a lot of guys on defense. Great defense comes from the accountability and standards that these guys hold for each other. So in the spring, when I would take out the Nashes and the Ties and the Keeses and those guys, I think a lot of people think it's a break. What I'm trying to do is get them to feel what it feels like to be a coach. And to watch, like you call a defense, right? And then they all play this college football game now, which is a great game, right? And, you call a blitz and there's this line going here, and there's this line going here, and there's this line going here. And when you call that and the line going here doesn't go here, they would send their game back. But as a defensive coordinator, sometimes Tony calls a guy to blitz and he doesn't know to blitz. And so when those guys were coaching, they started, and they get a little edge about them. Like, hey, blitz. We have to assume positive intent and that nothing's personal, and that we're just trying to get the football right. And so what I'm saying, it's a very long-winded answer, I apologize. What that's saying is this. All of a sudden now, Buford and those guys, Giff, Tommy Hill, they want to win. And last year they would say, we don't want to. We want the defense to play well. We don't want to be the reason why we lose. I want the defense to be the reason why we win. That in their mind. Like, start scoring touchdowns on defense. If you're that good, like, pick the ball off and run it back. Change games like they did against Northwestern when they blocked the field goal and ran it back. So they're starting to get on each other. They're starting to hold each other way, way more accountable. The sensitivity is kind of going away. And that's what great defenses are like. There's such a high standard. And, oh, by the way, I think the offense is catching up, too, so they don't have to win it, but they can have that mentality, we're going to win it on defense.
Coach, when it comes to Dylan Raiola, when it comes to fall camp, how tough is it for you as a coaching staff to get him ready for what he's going to see in the season, yet also build his confidence considering he's such a young player?
I think anytime you play any young player, you want to go at their pace. Unfortunately, if you want to play quarterback as a freshman, the schedule's the schedule. The standard's the standard. 8:31 comes around pretty quickly, and you better be ready. So, I think a lot of that, again, we're going to have to see where he is. We're going to see where everyone is on the team based upon the work they put in the summer. But our job is not to get anybody ready to play. Our job is to give them opportunities. They have to get themselves ready to play. Like, if it means you stay up for 2 extra hours at night and study more film, if it means it takes what it takes. Because when 8:31 comes around, we have to be ready to play at a high level. So, the thing I like about really all the freshmen that I think are competing to play is they kind of understand the standard. They kind of understand, like, hey, this is what we do, and we'll have a really competitive camp. I'd like to have the most competitive camp I've ever had, and we'll see who's standing at the end.
How much of a difference will that communication in helmet thing help you and maybe help a young quarterback? And vice versa, how do you integrate that during camp, both offensively and defense?
Yeah, it's probably not as much of a help on defense. I mean, the reality is, in tempo offenses in college, it's probably not as much of a help as it is in the NFL. We'll use it. Tony and them aren't super. It's not like a major work. On offense, it's I'm not gonna say groundbreaking, but it's like that, right? It's seismic. You're able to remind the quarterback not just of the play, but also the situation, and also the thought process, right? Like, hey, it's 3rd and 7 here. Coach says, hey, 3rd and 7, 2 downs. Take the check down if it's there. Which he understands gets us to 4th and 3. And we're not going to just do it on game day. We do it every day. So I won't be talking to the quarterbacks. I have the ability to, and I guess if I wanted to, I would. But we'll do it just like we did it in the NFL. Sat will talk to the quarterbacks. In practice, Glenn, Sat, and Garrett will all have them so they can work on it with all 3 teams. It's got to be enough information, but it can't be too much information. Mitch, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. In talking about some of those battles, so just to get on the 120 here this week, last week after you left Indy, 105 roster cap? I know we talked about it last week, but have you gotten any more information about how that number is going to work next year, and how does that impact potentially what you have to do now and looking at players for the next class, knowing that your roster is, no matter how it plays out, going to be small?
Yeah, what I've learned through this process, and really it kind of goes back to even like when the COVID restrictions were coming out, they were changing every day in college and in the NFL. What I've learned is not to react or take anything like don't set things in stone until they're written out. They're put out. Like the limits were coming out. I was hearing 110, 105, 115, 110, 10. Like when it came out, I read it on Twitter, 105. So, that's kind of my mindset is like, hey, when it comes out, I'll react to it when it comes out. I'm thinking about it. What I'll have a responsibility to do is put the best, as I see it, 105 on the roster. And, this is the one thing with all of this. Again, players are getting monetized, but not every player is going to get, not every, so there's always a negative repercussion. There's a lot of guys that aren't going to be able to play college football at this level anymore because of this ruling. So when you do these things, someone gets paid, someone suffers. So, we'll have to put the best 105 guys out there. Now, I don't know yet, is that going to be, hey, you have 120 on your roster, but you have to get to 105 by the first game? I don't know if a guy like Demetrius Bell, who's out for the year, would he count in that 105? Would he not? I don't know that. I sometimes I think what they'll do, but, these things have taken such twisting paths that I'm just kind of waiting until it's in writing.
With things like walk-on recruiting, how do you handle that now moving forward? Now they can have technically 105 scholarship guys is kind of what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know that many schools. I mean, some will. I don't know that many schools will go to 105. At the end of the day, like to go put money here, you're taking money away from here, and those are really Troy decisions. Like I think only for football. Obviously, I think everyone knows I care about all the other sports, but like there's other sports too. So I think one of the great things that we have here is that we have young men who love this university so much that they're going to pay their own way to come here. So I think we're going to have to just kind of wait and see. We haven't, to be honest, we haven't offered a ton of preferred walk-ons until I know that. Because one thing I don't ever want to do is I'm going to have to make the right decision all the time or as best as I can. I don't mind disappointing people by telling them something that they don't want to hear if I think it's right. But I certainly don't want people to say, you told me this and then you did this. And so I'm not extending myself. Now, to Mitch's point, if there's a scholarship player out there that makes us better, then I'm recruiting. I'm not stopping recruiting. But the walk-on piece, I'm going to have to wait and see where that all falls out. Obviously, you look at our staff, most of us were walk-ons. We want there to still be a walk-on program, and I think we will.
At the risk of overcomplicating the discussion, is that in-helmet technology for a quarterback, is there any concern you have as a head coach that a coach is in the guy's ear a little too much? No, and only because I've done it before. Because I was in the NFL and we did it, and I just heard how it worked, and so because I guys like Ben McAdoo and Joe Brady that have done this, right? Like they knew it so well that I if it was me trying to figure it out, probably I'd be like, oh geez. And then again, that's a Lincoln company. So the first spring we were here, we would utilize it sometimes just because we thought this was going to happen, maybe even last year. So that's really two springs for us of having it in the quarterback's ear. So I thought the rhythm, the feel, the vibe, the energy in the spring was awesome.
Given the number of potential contributors at receiver and a defensive back, and you made this comment last week, that there's going to be some guys on some days that aren't going to be happy with the number of reps they get. How do you keep guys' spirits up while also understanding that at some point they're just going to sort themselves out and some guys are going to play more than others?
Yeah, I think we do the best to be fair, do the best to be equitable, but everything can't be equal. And as Tommy Hill said at our senior retreat, to be quite honest, like it's time to win. Like there's no sympathy, like you got to be fair. But this isn't, everyone had all summer, all spring opportunities to get here. Now, because we utilize the model of practice that we use, everyone's going to get reps. It's going to come down to the games, right? It's going to come down to the game reps. And even things like, you get done with practice, you get done with meetings, Sam, it's like 9 o'clock at night, man. You just want to go back to your room and play the game. You know what? You better go back and study your plays for the next day. Or even more importantly, you better get in the training room and make sure that hamstring is tight. Like, you know what? Like, if you miss a couple days, it's not like you're going to fall out of the 2 deep. But all of a sudden, that one slant and go that we love to run, man, I tell you what, I gave Nayor a chance to run it because I was out for a day or two, and he runs it better than I do. Oh, so you better stay healthy. You better stay on the field. But this is what the NFL's like, right? You have a number one receiver, then everyone else is fighting for their lives. It's good that they learn this now. We'll do it with empathy. We'll do it with humility. We'll care them, walk them through it, but there won't be sympathy. The best players are going to get on the field and play.
Have you had to tell the players a year back how much they're playing the game?
No. Honestly, the things I worry about with our guys, like just as a coach, not our guys, just in general, worrying about 18 to 22 years old, I worry, please don't do this, please don't do this, please don't do this. A video game doesn't fall into there very often, you know. The only person I've had to deal with on the video game is Matt Rhule. I've had to call him when I've been out there and be like, if your mom tells you to do one more thing and you don't do it, he's helping out in training camp. I'm like, you're fired. You're going to be the first person fired. Put the game away. And I wouldn't let him bring the game. He's moving in the dorms. I would not let him bring the game here. You know what? When you play the game, and, you know, well, I'm sorry, whatever. So I want to, our guys are fine. Sorry. One more or no? Okay, we're good. Yeah.
The SEC coach is saying $15 million on the revenue share with the players. Do you see that happening here?
Well, I think it's going to be across. I don't think it's going to be like each school picks. I think it's going to be kind of like, hey, this is at least conference-wise. I think the Big Ten is going to come out and say, hey, this is how we're doing it, and then it's going to happen. I don't think it's kind of like going back to the point we made. Like I don't spend a lot of time thinking about that because like 2 weeks ago it was, hey, it's going to be this, and then all of a sudden now it's like, hey, I think it's going to be this. You know, there's lawyers. This isn't like this. There's lawyers deciding all this stuff. This isn't like, people on TV aren't deciding it. Administrators to an extent are, but behind every decision, there's another potential lawsuit coming. So it's lawyers deciding it. So people hear me say, I'm very, like you'll hear the staff come talk, I'm very involved in everything. I'm very involved in everything in the off season. When I get to today, like I'm worried about recruiting, I'm worrying about our players' lives, and I'm worrying about football. Everyone else has to run the rest of it. So Troy's amazing. He came into me today and gave me a little update on some of these things, right? And it's different than what it was a few weeks ago. The benefit of having Troy Dan in here is people are calling him to see what his thought process is. People are calling Troy to say, how do you think you're going to do this? So I'll wait till Troy tells me. What's that? I'm sorry?
Brian helping you out of camp? Is he around here?
Yeah, he's out helping out. Yeah, he's helping out operations, right? So, Luke Foley, who's Ed Foley's son's out there helping out. Sarah works in the nutrition room. So, the most important thing I think you can do for young people is give them a job. So my son's doing it until he moves in the dorm, and then once he moves in the dorm to be a freshman, he's moved from Selleck over to Able, and then we'll see if I can get him to do anything once he's a college student. So, all right, I'll see you guys in practice.
Go Big Red.